Hi, my name is Dan Zurcher. I own American Striping. I've been striping streets, floors, parking lots, playgrounds, regional airports, helipads for 17 years. I get a lot of calls about paint from new individuals just starting their striping careers, trying it on the side, etc. Asking about paint, what does this mean, what does that mean? So here's a video to answer those questions. First, in striping outdoors, there's generally, basically, two different types of paint. Water-based paint, oil-based paint. I know that some of you are already barking about the oil-based paint. I'll get to that. There are two basic types of paint. Water-based paint, which is slang for latex. Latex paint, latex-based paint, or water-based paint, it's the same slang. It's synonymous. Water-based paint is latex paint. Oil-based paint is alkyd, A-L-K-Y-D. Alkyd-based paint, oil-based paint. Next, paint is made up of two parts. Solid particles, and we're going to call those the solids. And then we need something to carry the solid particles to the ground. So we're going to start with water-based paint. Latex is water and solid particles, all right? So the water carries the solid particles to the ground. Water evaporates, solid particles are left. That's it. So ends the lesson in paint. You'll see this also called waterborne paint. And the word borne is the usage of the word like she bore the burden on her back. She carried the burden on her back. Waterborne. Water carried paint. The paint that's carried by water. All right? Get it? Waterborne paint. Then the other type is the oil-based paint, which is slang for alkyd. Alkyd-based paints are still out there. They're still being manufactured. A couple years ago, oh my God, we had to stop using them because of Mother Nature, blah, blah, blah. So they were reformulated. And they're still out there. They're still being manufactured. I can find them. I can buy them by the skid load, etc. So I'm going to tell you about them. It's more of an oily medium that carries the solids to the ground. The oil evaporates, the solids are left. That's it. The only time I use oil-based paints is when the weather is inclement. November, 2 o'clock in the morning. November, I don't know, 35 degrees, noon, I don't care. It's just cold. The oil isn't so dependent upon ambient temperatures to evaporate. If you try to paint your house with latex paint at November, at midnight, or at noon when it's 35 degrees, and then the sun goes down at 5, how long is it going to take for that water-based paint to dry? I'm just going to say forever. It'll dry, but it's going to take forever, right? So we use oil-based paint because oil-based paint doesn't really care what the temperature is. It's going to dry, all right, more quickly, and that's what we need, especially on the road when you can't wait for the traffic, all right? So if I want it to dry more quickly, I use oil-based paint. And in a 4-climate area, we need that. If you're in Canada, you have to use oil-based paint. Your season's what, 2 months long? You know, in Texas, California, I envy you. You use latex paint year-round. Just water evaporates quickly, it takes off, toss, and the solids are left. All right. So recap: couple general types, water-based paint, oil-based paint. The technical term is latex paint or alkyd paint. All right. The water or the oil carry the solids to the ground. It evaporates. Solids are left. It's that simple. Done. All right. Now within those lines, there are different types, and there are 4. It's not a big deal. All right. Let's just stick with latex most of the time, and then I will get over to the different types of paint. Blah blah blah. Let's just stick with latex. The next type. This is the first. You go into any one of the big 3. Glidden, PPG, which is Pittsburgh Paint and Glass, PPG, or Sherwin-Williams. And what I buy 90% of the time is the everyday, ordinary, regular striping paint. It is water and solids. That's all it is. Water evaporates, toss, and then the solids are left. That's it. Cost X amount of dollars per gallon, all right? Simple as that. The next step up is high in solids. Guess what that means? Instead of this many solids, it's this many. I can get more than that. It's this many solids per volume, all right? So with this, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to last a little bit longer. Why? Because there are more solids. It just takes longer for that to wear off. All right? It costs 50 cents or $1 more a gallon, but it lasts a little bit longer. I don't ever see high solids being asked for except on a runway or a taxi lane. That's the only time that I've ever used them, ever. Period. They're not called out for schools, playgrounds, or parking lots. They're just not. All right? If they were, I'd see it, I'd tell you. But I always see them on regional airports, taxi lanes, etc. There are two products, byproducts, or characteristics of a high in solids paint. First of all, I think the first one's obvious. If you have this water carrying this here, it's going to last longer. This evaporates, it's going to last longer, period. But if you think about it, if you have this much water carrying normal paint, which has this many solids in it, well, by volume, if you had this many solids, it would displace some of this water. So per capita, if this is a thimble full of water, and this is a thimble full of solids, then this is similar to a half a thimble because it's just spread out a little bit. This might be thicker. You're still able to spray it, don't worry about it. But it's thicker, so it displaces some of this water. There are more solids in this volume of water. It displaces this much water. Guess what? There's less water, so it evaporates more quickly. Get it? That's it. So when you look at a specification sheet, or an engineer or architect looks at a specification sheet, a spec sheet, on the paint, it'll say, this particular paint mixture is high in solids, and it dries in X amount of minutes or seconds. And then they'll look at the basic type. There's the basic type that has less solids and it takes a little bit longer to dry. So they will invariably choose, let's go with the stronger paint that dries quickly because you just can't stop the airplane. I was followed by a C-130, which was kind of cool. Yeah. On a taxi lane, I just walked him around and sprayed it, and he pulled in and did that thing. It's huge. Anyhow, it was loud too. Recap. There's the basic, everyday, ordinary striping paint, which is fine. PPG makes a great paint. Glidden makes a great paint. Sherwin-Williams makes a great paint. All three of them make a great paint. All three of them have great people working for them, etc. Buy any one of them. I bought them all. They're behind me. I'll show you in a minute. They're everyday, ordinary, basic line of striping paint. This many solids, this much water. Water evaporates, toss, and they're fine. All right. Next step up, on an airport or two, you might get a call out on a drawing that calls out for high solids, and that's what it is, which tends to dry a little bit more quickly because this many solids displace a little bit of that water, and you don't have as much there, so it's going to dry more quickly. All right. A note to the wise on the high solids. The first couple times I used it, it just kept clogging up my machine, clogging up my machine, clogging up my machine. I don't believe that the solids are bigger in diameter. But I do think that when two of them went through together, it would clog. Because it was never a big deal. It was just like, it would shoot sideways. I'd turn a tip around, pull the trigger for a split second, turn a tip back around, and I'm on my way again. But I was at an Air Force base, not the same 130 base. An Air Force base, bringing it in for like, when they would go into the hangar. And it took me forever because I kept getting clogs and clogs. And so, word to the wise, you'll always get a 17 thousandths orifice when you buy a machine. I don't own a 17 thousandths orifice. I use 19s all the time. Unless I ride. Then I use a 21 thousandths orifice. 2 thousandths bigger is a difference. Then I can go a little bit faster but still put the same volume down for the customer. When I shoot high in solids, I just go right to the 21. I've never used a 25 thousandths, so the 21 worked fine. I never had a clog after that. If you're using a high solids, at least go buy a 21. Put a 19 in your gun, 19 thousandths orifice in your gun. You have 2 clogs in 39 feet or 100 feet, switch it out. Put a 21 thousandths in to allow more solids to go through. All right? Never had a problem after that. Blah, blah, blah. Recap. Basic, ordinary, everyday striping paint, which is a fine formulation, water, solids, by any of the big 3. All right? Next step up, high in solids, displaces some of this water so there's less to evaporate, so it dries more quickly, and guess what? There's more solids, so it will last longer. All right? That's that. Next, fast dry. I know the high solids dries more quickly, but fast dry. What they've done is taken this volume of water and like used some of it up, poured some of it out, and they've replaced it with something, think rubbing alcohol. It's not rubbing alcohol, but rubbing alcohol evaporates more quickly than, thank you, Ms. Pratt, my English high school teacher. It evaporates more quickly than water. So if this is the volume of water per normal volume of solids, pour some of that out and then re-add something that evaporates more quickly. Like, it's not rubbing alcohol, but you get the picture, right? So it just evaporates more quickly. I use fast dry the other 10% of my striping season because I'm in a 4-season climate, and if I do go out on Thanksgiving evening after I had dinner with everybody and paint stop bars and watch all you stand in line, it has to dry. It just has to dry. So I switch from normal, everyday, ordinary striping paint to fast dry. You'll see brands called Fast Dry, or you'll see brands called Set Fast, and I'll get to that, but that's what it means, all right? Half the volume has been replaced with something that evaporates more quickly. It's that simple, all right? Solids are the same. Got it? Fast dry. So recap, everyday, ordinary striping paint. Next step up, high in solids striping paint. Higher in solids so it lasts a little bit longer, and per capita, the high number of solids displaces some of the water, so there's less water per capita, so it evaporates more quickly, all right? But then there is the fast dry, which the water is replaced, maybe half of it is replaced with something that evaporates more quickly. I'm not saying rubbing alcohol, but something that evaporates more quickly than water, all right? Fast dry. Got it? Those 3 types. Last type, acrylic. What if you wanted these to last even longer? Add glue. Think glue. If this is your solid, then if you added glue to it, carried it to the ground, water evaporated, this is left, do you think this would last longer now than the ordinary, everyday, basic striping paint? Yeah, it would. Yes, it would. You know why? Because there's a hardener added to it, and it's called acrylic. So the hardener makes the solids harder, bonds them together, it lasts longer. Might cost you 50 cents or $1 more a gallon, but okay. Sometimes you're going to go to the paint store, and guess what I did? I don't know, a week ago, and all they had was acrylic. I'll take it. Just give it to me. It's all cool, all right? So what do I do with this? So if you want them to last longer, the stripes, then buy the acrylic line of striping paint, all right? That's all it is. There's a hardener added. Think of it as glue or a hardener, okay, to add it to water-based paint. Cool? Cool. Recap. 4 different types. Ready? Basic ordinary is basic ordinary striping paint. Certain number of solids. Oh heck. Certain number of solids. Certain amount of water. Water evaporates. Solids are left. Next step up. High in solids. Certain amount of water, but since there's more solids, it displaces some of it, so therefore there's less per capita. It dries more quickly, and certainly there's more solids. Right? The next step up is normal solids, but instead of water, it's like half water and half something else, and whatever that is, it's a liquid that tends to evaporate more quickly, even in adverse situations, such as a foggy night, late November, 2 o'clock in the morning, and the asphalt is probably, I don't know, 40 degrees, chilly. All right, it'll still dry. That's the kind I use, even in the spring. I want it to dry. I want to go home more than I want it to dry, but I want it to dry nice and hard. Pull my cones, open the parking lot, customer's happy, I'm home. All right. I said too much, so I have to recap. Basic everyday ordinary striping paint, high solids, fast dry. The last one is acrylic, which is add some kind of a hardener, or it's not glue, but it's a hardener to the paint. Water carries it to the ground, water evaporates, toss, and the acrylic holds it together, and it lasts. You know what I mean? There you go. Those are the 4 styles, or the 4 types of paint. 90% of the time, I'm going to say it one more time. 1, everyday ordinary, then the high solids, then the fast dry, then the acrylic. All right? 90% of the time, I use everyday ordinary. It's fine paint. It dries in seconds. August on a hot surface, it's like you're painting in a skillet anyhow. It dries fine. Everyday ordinary striping paint, 90% of the time. I've only used the Hotline, which is Sherwin-Williams brand, on regional airports because that's when it's called out. Higher in solids, dries a little bit more quickly. The Set Fast, which is Sherwin-Williams brand, or the Fast Dry, is something I go to in inclement weather. You probably never need that in South Texas or California where it's hot, and etc. The last one is acrylic, and I've used that, I don't know, if that's all they have, I'll buy it. Don't even blink, just buy it. If that's all they have, buy it. It's great paint, all right? Those 4 styles. I'm gonna stop the tape here and talk about the 3 manufacturers, the 3 big. I wanna name some other ones for you, but that's it. Paint is, look, this is stuck together. Paint is solids and something to carry it to the ground. That's it. It's either water or oil-based, or that's it. Once this evaporates, this is left. Somebody will ask me once in a while, which is better, oil-based or water-based? The answer is either the same or neither one, because this is out of the equation. If this is your solid and the water's gone, or this is the oil and the oil's gone, what lasts longer? The solids. This is no longer part of the equation. So they both last the same. The only time I use the oil-based paint is because it dries even more quickly than fast dry. And I am in a climate that we do have winter, so I need it on those chilly nights, or chilly mornings, or chilly days. All right? One last recap. Ordinary, everyday striping paint is fine. It's fine. Next step up is the high-end solids. I use that on airports because it's called out to use on airports. The next step up is the fast-drying latex. I'll go to that during chilly weather. The last one is acrylic. I'll use that anytime. I don't care. But it's just about $1 more a gallon, and when you're buying 2,000 to 3,000 gallons, this is fine. Okay, I will use this though. All right. So, dare me to recap one more time? Everyday ordinary, high solids, fast dry, and acrylic. It's made of 2 parts, solids and something to carry it to the ground, either a water-based mixture or an alkyd, which is an oil-based mixture. All right, it evaporates, solids are left. Simple as that. And what I use the most, everyday ordinary, and that's hard to do. And the Set Fast or Fast Dry. All right. That's it. I'm gonna stop the tape. I'm gonna keep on going on paint though. I'll be right back.